Hey, KK. What's up? All right. Wasn't going to go live, but here I am. And here you are. Now I'm going to put some music on for a minute. Find something. Yeah, whatever. What are we going to change it to, KK? Hey, Mizawa. Oh my God. Heather goes. Hey. Speaking of which, she's right here. Come here. Let's say hi. Come here. Come here. Come here. Jump. There we go. Say hello. Daisy. Look at right here. Look at right here. You good girl? That's your good girl. Don't lick my face. I don't like that. She can lick my neck. She can lick my neck. She can lick my head. She cannot lick in my face. No dog licks in the face. But I can kiss her face all I want because she's super cute face. You guys know super cute face dogs. This one's got a super cute face. My baby. She's a total daddy's girl. 100%. It's pathetic, to tell you the truth. It's absolutely pathetic. But, yeah. She's a good girl. Yeah, a good girl days. All right. You want down? You do. Okay. Hi, guys. How are you? Wasn't planning on going on tonight, so here we are. What's up, Petra? And Chris Kuhn and Robert Nazawa and D's in the house. And KK's in the house. And Enlightened Jess is in the house. Hey, haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope everything's great in North Carolina. What are you yelling at me for? What is going on? You don't know I'm doing the live stream. What's going on? What is the problem? All right. Apparently, we have to have an intervention. So give me a quick timeout. Got to see what this dog wants. I'll be right back. No. My God. All right, so there's no emergency. Yes. Headless. What's up, Headless Horseman? And Petra. You guys, is it me or is like YouTube like not producing great content lately? I'm kind of joking. There's a lot of good stuff on there, but either that or I'm a total YouTube junkie and I'm just like, man, this sucks. Man, I'm not watching that. I've heard this. I'm not watching this one. I'm not watching any of this. I guess that's a good thing. Could be a good thing. So, guys, we're coming into summer. That's nice. We're in the month of June. It's a very, very busy month for Bill. That's me. It's a busy, busy month every year for me because we got a birthday, then we got Father's Day, and then we got another birthday. And it's all week, next week, last week. And it's busy. And then we go right into 4th of July. My summers, all right, I'm not going to say that my summers suck because summer is great. It is. But my summers are busy. And summer is when you're supposed to be relaxing. And I don't get a lot of that. And then Shawnee's birthday's in August. So, and then usually it's vacation, end of August. And it's so exhausting. Oh my God. What's up with you guys? Have you, KK? That's probably so healthy. I know. There was a time when I used to think social media was such a valuable tool, and I still do. It is. It's a huge tool. It's a huge weapon. But you know what's funny? I guess I just had this thought right now, and I've used the funnel analogy, but I'll use it again. But it's funny because as all of the bullshit in the world gets put into the big funnel of life to the people that are awake and it gets shimmied down, we're kind of in this phase where it's at the bottom and it's going down the last tube. And so most of the loud BS that's out there isn't worth listening to, we're kind of centered on where this is all going. I don't know. Maybe it's not an epiphany, but that's kind of how I see it. I'm just thinking about it, I guess. Putting my thoughts in the ring. There's a lot of great channels that are covering very much a lot of the same information. It's funny, we're not getting Q drops. Okay. I mean, I don't know how many days it's been, but I think maybe it's going on, 8, 9, 10 days or something, but they're very sporadic and there's a purpose. There's a reason why they are sporadic. And it's another tell to let us know that the plan is going according to plan. Everything is according to Hoyle. Everything is according to Hoyle. His plan is damn near flawless. Thank God. There's just not a lot of room for fluff right now. You're seeing projection from the left that is comical. Honestly, it's comical. It's to the point you can't take it serious. You can't watch it and you can't listen to 30 seconds of Chris Cuomo or Don Lemon. That's about the only two I can name from that station. You can't listen to them though and even take it with any kind of seriousness. It's exhausting what they're going through. They are probably dying to get busted because this charade that they are putting on and going through night after night after night after night. How could they not know what's really going on? The reality is that they don't or they do, but either way, their station doesn't want them to. So it's really just sad watching it all go down. It does begin to close the door of one chapter, which is the Great Awakening. That is where the world and really America woke up. Think about how awake you are right now. The nation has woken up. The world is awake, and they've been waiting for us. But where that leads us, because if we take care of the Great Awakening and these heads and DC roll as I suspect they're going to roll, and these bad people, these bad players are going to be plucked from their DC perch. They're going to be taken down. Where does that lead us? And what direction does that take us into moving forward? Well, the reason the corruption that falls so greatly within our government and is weaved deeply within our government is not just stop at our government. It goes throughout the world and all of the different power structures that are planted all around the world. That's how deep this goes. We are getting to the end of the first chapter, the first scene, the first stage of what this whole military operation is about. Phase 2, in my opinion, will be once we are past this in the next however many months, not too many, I suspect, because this stuff's coming out big time. If you're not out there like having some sort of discussion with people at this point, you really need to start. I mean, it's gaining mainstream attention. So it's time to start talking about it in the details that you know and start talking to people, whatever. Maybe you have been. But it's going to move into phase 2 because what good is it to get rid of phase 1 if you don't get rid of phase 2? And ultimately, if you don't rid the world of what actually has caused all of this corruption and just atrocious behavior. Really, it's the worst shit you can imagine, plus and times the worst shit that you can imagine on top of that. That's what's actually happening in this world, and it's designed behind this power structure, which we don't know where all the rabbit trails of this end, but they end somewhere, and I suspect it's somewhere near Rome or, in Italy. I suspect that's where it's the birthplace or where it roots from, but it's everywhere and it has to be dealt with. So this whole thing with the Great Awakening is going to move into, in my opinion, it's going to be pedophilia that opens up the door, which we know about, we all know about, but I think it's going to open the door to really open the eyes, because what else is going to open the eyes of people of the world bigger than pedophilia and all of the just absolute horrendous things that come with it when you're an elitist? They don't simply start and stop at pedophilia. They got to take it up to the next level. They got to ramp that shit up. That's how they do it. You don't have to really stretch your imagination to realize how far they ramp that up. I mean, they're so bold in who they are. They put it in artwork. They boldly stick it in front of our face. They don't care. They are beyond reproach. You could pray for them. Go ahead. Probably should. It's a good idea. Prayer is good for everybody. You could pray for them, and rightfully so, we're told to. But it would take a lightning bolt itself to hit one of these people on the head and make them change who they are, who they've allowed themselves to manifest into, the monsters that they've manifested into. It's unspeakable things. It really is unspeakable things. And unless you can step back and put yourself into the shoes of these people that have lost family members, people that find this out later. I mean, if you find out and that kind of stuff, that somebody that's in your family and something happens to them like that. I mean, it's unspeakable. What level of justice is there in the world that could make up for what that does to somebody as they're the victim, but also what happens to the people when something like that happens? I mean, how can you even dream that kind of stuff up? How can you? It's unthinkable. And to a rational human being, it's taken everything that we've learned in this great awakening to even open our eyes to some of the absolute brutality that happens in this world. We really have been, as Americans, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but through media and everything, we've been in a bubble. What we know today versus what we knew then. Yeah, we knew bits and pieces back then, but what we know today as truths and that kind of stuff, it's, I mean, I know we're better off for it. The world would be better off because the majority, I think, of people in the world are pretty good. So when they hear this kind of stuff, they're like, they're not going to get behind that. That's nothing to get behind. I don't know. All right. I didn't really have a topic tonight. I didn't even plan on going on. I'm glad I did. I haven't read any of your comments. And for that, all I can say is I'll read them later. All right. So I think that was my little bottled up rant that I had inside of me because I was trying to think of something to talk about and I really didn't know until it just came out. So there you go. That's what I've got. But I'm glad you guys all showed up. Appreciate it. Try to go on soon. Oh, so one thing I guess I keep going for a second. So I did. I started to go down this track. Maybe I did, and I'll go back and watch this and go, dude, you already said this. Maybe I did, but I'm not completely sure if I did or if I just had that discussion in my head. But the reason we're not having as many Q drops as we've had in the past is that the validity is being given to us by what President Trump is putting out there as the narrative for where all of this is going. And when you think about the tweets and the direction everything's going, really, if you fashion them in the form of being like a Q drop in a lot of ways, that's I think I led into why it's such a masterful plan. I mean, it's almost like they've thought of every single angle that could possibly be. It's the most easiest transition under the perfect circumstances of laying out a plan in the most precise way. But the realization that everybody's starting to come to, I know as a kind of joke, I used to plug my nose and talk about all the different networks, and I still feel that way about a lot of them, but I don't really listen to Tucker, except I watch little excerpts on YouTube from him here and there, and I like him. Okay, I'm just not like totally like into his full mechanics, whatever. And I accept he's a truther. If you listen to the first part of Hannity, like it's being laid out it's funny because, and it's been growing momentum to where he's openly talking about the things that are happening that we've known about in the Q drops now for months. But he is flatly, and we have two very divided lines here in America. It's amazing that you could take the level of the drops that Fox News with Hannity is dropping, who has inside information. I say that based on nothing but a gut feeling, but I feel he does. You have that, and then you have the alternative, which are the other news stations. Somebody's lying. I mean, don't most rational people realize that somebody is lying? Because you have two completely 100% different stories, except one of those stories comes with treason. And why does that not uproar everybody? Why aren't they going ape shit? Why aren't they going crazy? Honestly, why aren't they going crazy? And maybe it gets to that old adage, perception is reality. Maybe it's perception is reality. And so because a corporation like CNN can pay to be broadcast as the exclusive news station in every airport in America, so they have a monopoly in the airports on the news stations. You can't get Fox, which I half hold my nose, but you can't. And you can't get anybody else. You got to listen to CNN. So between that and the people that actually listen to it, which I got to just imagine are just super old people, maybe it's millennials. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the demographic that listens to CNN. I know they all have one thing in common, though: ignorant. They're ignorant. No matter the age, no matter any of that, they're ignorant. They're not willfully ignorant. You can forgive, but there's a problem with being so close-minded that I'm a rational human being. I really am. Had they found anything on President Trump, I would have stepped back and looked at it and weighed it. I never thought for a second that they would find anything because I feel like this was an organic uprising. I think people listened to his speech. I think they listened to him when he got up there and he blindly just blasted the Clintons. I mean, when you go there and he went there, but they went there on him, but he came out, he didn't care. He didn't care at all. He, as a guilty pleasure, I must admit that I go back and watch the debates between him and Hillary. I watched the first, second, and the third debates. And I watched the debates when he was up there on the stage with however many, 14 different Republicans. And I watched how this man battled through all of that. He battled. That cat can battle. He can. I don't care if people think it was all rigged for him to win it. That dude went to war. He had to. He went to war from the moment he announced he was running for president because the deep state army threw everything they had at him, including the Republican minions. And it comes from people having dirt on you. It comes from blackmailing you over a stupid decision that maybe you made 20 plus years earlier. as a freshman senator, or no, not senator, but congressman, somebody new. You know, you got set up in one of the deep state traps, and they don't care. They just want a very small percentage of people that they got by the fucking balls. That's what they want. They just want you by the balls so they can run you and manipulate you and get you to pass things in their objectives or in their, favor. And that's what you have right here in my district. District 3 of Michigan is the Grand Rapids and surrounding areas with Justin Amash. You've heard him in the news lately. He knocked on my door to this house 15 feet, no, 20 feet that way, my front door. He knocked on my door before he got voted in as a Republican with libertarian ideals. And I heard him and I listened to him and whatever. And this guy now, for him to be the standalone Republican to come out, what an absolute retarded, and I'm sorry for saying it, but what a fucking retard. This dude's got an agenda. His father was Palestinian born, and to his father's defense, anybody born in that region before Israel was declared a country, even if they were Jewish, was labeled Palestinian. So there were many people that were there that became, Jewish and people of Israel. But if they were born before a certain date, then forever they'll be labeled as Palestinian. But his pops held on to that, and that's how he was raised. And apparently there's some issues here with him maybe having something to do with some pizza parlors, some Pizzagate, that kind of stuff. Some really sick, twisted, heinous stuff. It's rumor. I have nothing to base it on. I will not be held liable. I have nothing to base it on. But it's a rumor. And at this point, why should I be surprised? Why should any of us be surprised by any of this? My God. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. I don't remember who said it, but I remember it. It's true. It's very true. And these people feel that they're untouchable. They're not. They're about to get touched up hard. They're about to get hands put on them. They came out of the gate. They were firing hard on Trump in the first few rounds. Pop, 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 pop. They just defense. Step back, came back. Pop, 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 pop. And they started hitting them in the latter rounds. And now some of those heavy haymakers that were being thrown in the middle rounds are paying off now in the latter rounds. And we're here, you guys. We're here. We're watching it. If you're awake, which you are, we're watching this. It's happening right before our eyes. It's very, very mild. I feel like we should be being served wine and cheese while we watch, the destruction of the attempted coup d'etat against the president. And they'll be playing cellos and violins on the main deck while we have horse dovers on the promenade deck. I don't know. This just feels so chill. It's crazy. You want a conspiracy theory? I was having a conspiracy theory with somebody yesterday or the day before. I know you find that hard to believe, but I was having a conspiracy theory chat with somebody. And I said, you know who it was? It was Robert Wallace. Imagine that. So I was saying something like, I was like, the only thing that I worry about, worry is too strong a word. The only thing that concerns me is that you have these people that are like lighting themselves on fire in front of the White House, and people that are like carrying out these things that could very much be considered MK Ultra events. You could very much correlate and put those breadcrumbs together to see if they relate to some sort of therapist or something like that. And these histories have a lineage of proving that. And I said, what's to say that they don't have a word, or something that activates like the multitude of these people that are, just actively waiting by for their direction. They're under hypnosis. I don't know how they got there, why they're there. I don't understand it. It's through therapy and mind fuckery. And they put these people in a place of vulnerability and feed them drugs, and they're able to put that word of persuasion into their psyche that they actually, what's to prevent that from being something that happens to a multitude of people that have gone through this mind fuckery over the last 20 years, that all of a sudden they go out and just create as much chaos as they can for a period of an hour or two, or however long that lasts in their mind. Is that going to be something that, and I don't mean to put this kind of conspiracy theory out. I don't, but I legitimately think about it, because I think about the reasons that I carry, the reasons that I own home defense, that I have rifle, shotgun, pistols. Why do I have these things? Well, it's not because of the zombie apocalypse, but it is because I do wonder now, as this plan is winding down, could something like that happen? I say conceivably, yes, it could. And do I say that to scare anybody? No, I don't want anybody to be scared. What I do want you to be is eyes open. Because, guys, as much as this has been a movie and it's playing out in front of us and we're watching it all go down and we're watching the deep state choke, we're watching people turn on each other. They are all turning on each other. It's unraveling right before our eyes. But with that comes desperation. And in a world of, they don't give a shit anyway about any one of us. They don't. You already know this. We know this. They don't care about anybody. George Carlin said it right. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. He knew. They don't. And therefore, be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what's going on. That doesn't hurt anybody. But we're at that point. That noose is tightened firmly around their throat. I mean, if you're enjoying the show, if you're past the point where you're like, man, it's not happening fast enough and all that, if you're past that and you're going, man, this is just this is a symphony of destruction right before my face. I'm watching the Democrats face plant, and more importantly, the deep state face plant right into the concrete cement. They are face planting. It's only a matter of time. This does not miraculously get better for the Democrats. I hate to be the spoiler in this story, but if you look, they're done. They're done. They're done, and some of them know it. They're going to go into damage control moving forward. Some will hang on. They will try and drag it out, but they will hang on, and they will switch their allegiance, and they will try to hide behind the same thing that Jim Comey is going to hide behind, is that it's going to be ignorance of the circumstances. We were simply following a story. We were simply following this. Blah, 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 blah. Wrong. It's all going to be fully exposed. They're not going to have that to hide behind. And they will be gone when it's their time to be gone. I imagine it's going to be shortly after the 2020 elections. Right now, President Trump is a boxer. Even though he's doing all this other amazing stuff, he's pop, pop, pop. He's hitting them with the jab. Boom, boom, boom. He's setting them up with the jab. 2020 elections, that head's going to be up here doing this, and he's going to rock them, sock them robot, and he's going to ring their bell. It's going to be over. It's going to honestly be nothing but winning. When President Trump was on the campaign trail as President-elect Trump, he honestly talked about, you're going to win so much that you are going to be tired of winning. You're going to come to me and say, Mr. President, I can't take any more winning. And I'm going to say, too bad. You're going to keep winning. And you guys, he keeps winning. He keeps winning. This guy wins. This guy wins as much as Charlie Brown lost. All he does is wins. No matter how they want to spin it on the mainstream television, all he does is wins. Wins, wins, wins. He's the Bill Belichick of presidents. He wins. He's better than Bill Belichick. He hasn't lost yet. He's not going to lose. Look at some of his old videos, you guys. Look at it. I mean, he had interviews with Phil Donahue back in the early 80s, Oprah back in the mid 80s, Larry King, couple different times. This guy don't change his tune. You can, honest to God, listen to him in any of those interviews back, you're talking 20, 30 years plus. And he talks about how at that time, Japan was just beating our ass in trade, and he didn't blame them. It was because our politicians were crap, and he respected the people that were making the good trade deals against the United States. This guy does not change his tune. He's known this forever. He's talked about it forever. It's been on mainstream television forever. Honestly, it's not anybody individually's fault that we're at this point. But if you really, really think about the fact that he hasn't changed his tune in this amount of time and talks absolutely about the same things he was talking about then, they were warning signals that were completely dismissed. Because now he is like, fuck this. I got to come in there. I got to do it. So he rolled his sleeves up and he just, that's why the dude's like a battering ram, just running through everything. Bah, 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 bah. He doesn't care. He don't care because he knows what's got to be done. And he knows that what he is doing is taking down evil, like legit evil. Legit evil. He's taking it down. And even though I haven't had that seat of authority in my life to say, I got everything behind me, spiritually and all that, and being on the right side of truth, I can imagine that puts a little step in your bounce in your step when you just know that you're operating on the moral high side of history. When you know that the things that you're taking down are this corrupt and this horrible, is that you really don't have an opportunity in that position of authority to show empathy. Maybe you can show empathy, but you cannot show mercy against those that have been doing this stuff. You can't. And I don't think President Trump will. I think he will let Lady Justice rule what happens to these people, and he will do it without a conscience. He may feel bad, that kind of stuff, but really he's not going to own those executions. And let's just call them what they are. There's going to be people that we looked up to, people that we admired, maybe people that we voted for, that are going to, more than likely, in my opinion, face a public execution. I don't know. All right, I've rambled long enough. I'll tell you that much. Okay, I'll see you soon. How's that? It's good to see you all. I'll go back and read your comments. Yeah. All right. Y'all be cool. We'll talk again soon, okay? Have a good night, you guys. Okay.